Black Gemara. We are up to Dafnun Hay, and we're talking about Mishkav Zacher. I did tell you a very interesting opinion of Ben Chananel. I can't remember Ben Chananel is. I thought it was in Das Kane about Tesis, but I do remember now that Evan Ezra on the pasuk of Mishkavei Isha, the Evan Ezra writes Yesh Oimrim, that it's a transgender. That the second Mishkaveh, he says, what do you mean Mishkaveh Isha plural? Either a Isha or a man who decided to become an Isha. Amazing. Then he gives his own shot. I remember it's a Rabbein Chananel brought down somewhere. I thought it was Pasha Tazriya, but maybe Pasha Achrei. Exactly. Look at Evan Ezra on that pasuk, Mishkaveh Isha. Oh yeah, we're up to the Gemara over here on Daf Nun Hey. There's a sefer called Dirt Tapuchas that was made a few years ago. I tried to buy it a few times, but every time I went to the store to buy it, it was sold out. And it's all about this subject. Just this subject here. Written recently. Verkehrte Welt. Okay. Okay, about 10 lines on the top. We're talking about Mishkav Zacher. We spoke that the Isra is whether you're the active participant or the passive participant, and we brought all the different psukim. What about, by Arayis, we say that not only if you're consummated, but even if you're just Mara, you're also committing an Aveda. We had in Marivam's one place. Mara means, tradition, Mara means a machlekes in the Gemara Amarayim, whether it means just the Shika Sa'eva, just like touching with your male member, or you actually have to penetrate as well. Then there's a machlekes poskim whether the beginning, just a little bit, or he has to be totally. The question is now when it comes to Mishkav Zacher, how do we treat that? Hamada bezacher mau. So the Gemara says, Hamada bezacher, what's your shaila? Mishkav Isha ksibeit. So the Torah describes the Mishkav Zacher, homosexuality, the Torah describes it using Mishkav Isha. So whatever applies to women applies to here as well. El Hamada bebeheimau. Our question is, we're also talking about bestiality. What about bestiality where all you were is Mara? Did you already commit a sin or not? Amalei, he said, Im eina inyan lahara. The ksiva, there's a pasuk which is written, the entire pasuk is superfluous, and there it mentions also hara, and there's no need for it. Gabe achos aviv achos imay. Says the father, sister, or your mother's sister, the light sicha. Everything in that pasuk is not necessary because we learn everything out from nida. That's the basis for all the laws of arayis. So why does the Torah mention achos aviv achos imay? To teach you somewhere else. Since everywhere else we learn from it, there must be something outside of the normal sphere of arayis. Bestiality. Bestiality that just beginning of penetration is already forbidden. That's what Gemara says. That's odd. Why would the Torah put a clue of hara regarding bestiality in the case of an ant, where the punishments are so different from each other, different kind of arayas, different category? Mechdi behema mechayiv mitzvah beznu. By behema the chiv is kares. Is normally the Mr. Bezin, you get skila. Is normally the cause of the hara today got chayav krisis. So why does it write it regarding the Isser of an ant, where there's only chayav kares, a different category? If the Torah, whatever reason, didn't put it by behema, put it somewhere else, put it in a similar category, where the punishment at least is very similar, skila. But ligma or chayav Mr. Bezin, then you can equate the two, even if it's not the same punishment, skila, but at least it's Mr. Bezin. Speak louder. Okay. Oh. Sorry. Okay. Mumme, tante, whatever you want to say. Hoyel the kula krala drasha the asik. See, when I milsa the drasha, because the entire pasuk is extra, and each word of that pasuk we learn out different Yavamis. So therefore, we threw another halacha here as well. But now this is serious. You worry about ants. What about if you were the active and passive person at the same time? No, you did it to yourself. Mahu. You do it to yourself. But you're there on the receipt. I don't know. We don't need an Aphrodite, an ordinary person, but it's all Amalek Kabastan, you're getting me angry. You're getting me angry or upset. Why? Because you asked me a question that's ludicrous. It's impossible. Ravashi explained why was he getting upset. What's your question? Big cushy. If your male member is erect, it's impossible to fold it back. The only time it's possible is that if it's limp. There's a machlekes if a mishamish mace, you chayiv or not if you commit immorality. So the one who says that if you mishamish with a mace, it's not it's limp. Bad royis is potter, nu hacha potter. It's the same thing here. This is our royis potter. Ulamad chayiv, then you chayiv. And hacha mechayiv tati. Obviously you chayiv too. If you're the active and if you're the mashkib and the nishkib, the sheikh and the nishkib, then you chayiv too. So what's your question? That's why you got upset. Okay, now, let me quickly remind you the Mishnah. The Mishnah talks about that if somebody has bestiality, we kill the animal as well. Now, the question is, why do we kill the animal? What did the animal do wrong? The animal has bechira, the animal has no choice in that. So the Mishnah gives two reasons. One reason the Mishnah gives is because a takola occurred through this animal. Because of this animal, somebody committed a sin. So this animal is a takola, a walking takola, a stumbling block. That's how we understand now to call it a stumbling block. And the other thing is that we don't want the animal walking down the street and just say, this animal caused this person. No, it's colon. It's a shame. It constantly reminds us of the shameful act. That's what the Mishnah says. Now the question is going to be, before we kill the animal, so do we need both takola and colon, or either one alone is enough? And where's going to be the nafkamina, for example? If a goy commits bestiality with a behemoth, well, goy is also forbidden. So there's a takala when the animal's walking down the street, because a goy has also the same mitzvah of immorality. But there's no koloin, there's no shame. As we learn more about that this is very very commonplace. We learned like we spent yesterday. I'll bring a horse to them alone. Yeah, because yeah. In fact, they're more attracted to the horse than to a woman. We'll see more about the Yiddish, yeah. Very good. Remember that about it. Anyway, so we're gonna have a machlekes between Sheshes and Abaya. Robert's questionable exactly what he holds, whether you need both or just one. And we learned from this sugya an interesting, just how the halacha works. We learn interesting halacha, which is totally unrelated to anything we're learning here. For goy commits bestiality with an animal, mahu. Will we kill the animal or not? The question is as follows. Takola the koloin binan. You need both variables. You need an animal with the kola and a koloin. And by a goy, there's no koloin. But there's no kola, there's no shame because that's normal for them. Perhaps takola, afa pishen kola. One is enough. You need both or one is enough. And one is enough, then by a goy also will kill the animal. So Omer Rav Sheshes said one is enough. The Sheshes holds one is enough, and I'll prove it to you. So this we learned Ma Ilona is an Ashera tree. An Ashera tree, these are trees that were planted in the Chatchila B'Shem Avodah, which we can learn about again in Avodah. She'ein oichlin, they don't eat, vein sheish, they don't drink, vein marichin, and they don't smell, they don't exist. And yet, the Torah says that you have to burn it. So no, the tree has no shame, has no life, there's nothing, it doesn't feel anything. I'm going to tell you that the Torah says hashches, destroy, sarek, burn, kale, and get rid of it. Interestingly, what uses three different expressions saying the same thing. Why? Hasheda tree proves that takala is enough. There's no shame there. Yet interesting, we have a halacha that you have to cover the challah when you make kiddush, and one of the reasons because you don't want to shame the bread. That how can you make hagafen for bread, and what bread is sensitive. Here we see clearly Gemara here that a tzameach. That's much like a dime. But tzameach still attached is not sensitive. So obviously the word over there is not that the bread is sensitive. That should teach you to be sensitive of others. So this animal that strayed this person from the life of living to death. We're going to kill the guy. Allah has kama. Sure, this is an unbelievable takala, and therefore we have to kill. Takala alone is enough. So you ask the question. El it is if a guy bows down to his animal, The guy bows down to his animal, so he's doing avodah zarah. Whether the animal itself becomes asa b'hana, not a separate thing. We learn in the pasuk about Chaim don't become avodah zarah. But the guy and the rai is the fact that the Torah has to tell you that you cannot bring it to the mizbeach if an animal was nevered. Right? We learn min hatzoin, min habaka. We learn from all min hatzoin, not all the tzoin. Min habaka, not all the baka. And we took away muktzah, set aside for avodah zarah, worship avodah zarah. So therefore, the fact that the Torah had to tell you not to bring it for avodah mizbeach means that it's mutter b'hana, or it's mutter. But still, you're over avodah zarah. So, and by a behemoth, according to your logic, if a goy bows down to behemoth, this thing should be that what? That titzin umikla. We should take asa the behemoth. Why should we asa the behemoth? Because it brought a takala. It brought a takala to this guy because we're going to kill the guy and we should kill the animal. You're saying that one is enough. So no. Maybe that we don't kill the animal for this reason. You can immediately also. This is a saying that we're going to have in the next few blocks when we talk about the Zayin Mitzvah B'nech. Can be that it's stricter for a guy than for a yid. If by yid we don't kill the animal, a yid doesn't become bad, the animal doesn't become avodah zarah. How can you tell me by guy we do? We can't do that. Says the Gemara. The Gemara says following the logic. Okay, not because the animal itself became avodah zarah, but killed the animal by yid for the same reason. It's takala. It brought a takala to the yid. You saw gufe litzer. So the Gemara midday the have look what are we by yid? If a yid is revei an animal, we kill the animal. Why do we kill the animal? Because of takala and colon. So there's the chayil over here also by yid we should kill the animal if he worshipped avodah zarah. Amar Abaye says, Zeh koloina meruba v'zeh koloina murav. Revi is very different than avodah zarah. Abaye says, the whole act is a shameful act. Besides it's calling else, the whole act is a shameful act. You did an aveda, plus the act is depraved. Mashenkin by avodah zarah. The act itself was not a depraved act. Remember those days, avodah zarah worship was very common. So the act itself, worshiping, is not a depraved thing, or at least not as bad as revere. So therefore, it's not considered kohen, which means Abaye holds you need two. You need takola and you need kohen. And by a behemoth, by a yid who books with avodah zarah, bows to avodah zarah, is not, there's no kohen, we don't kill it. Which means according to Abaye, by Goy also you won't kill. Because Abaye holds you need two, takola and you need kohen. Following your logic, so how can I shade the tree? How come I shade the tree is destroy? You are by hold. You need both takola and kola, and there's no kola in there. But he says you're right. When do I say you need two in order to kill a living thing? The chasach monolith. But it comes to a tree, even though other mates are said over there were also, about task and everything else, but it's not the same thing. When it comes to a tree, one is enough. But when it comes to an animal, in order to kill an animal, you need two. Now the Achreim try to understand, what do you mean? Some want to say because Sab al-Chaim. It's the part of Sab al-Chaim. But I don't know if you know, there's a famous shit of Neder Yehuda that when you kill an animal, there's no Sab al-Chaim. Sab al-Chaim is only when the animal's alive and you cause it pain, but not kill it. And the Raya is, and this is one of the shame actually, Raya, Shchita. Why Shchita? Might be why is Shchita mutter? You're killing an animal. Must be because killing is not Tzar Bal Chaim. Tzar Chaim is only when you cause tzar. So then they try to understand the Gemara here. So what do you mean chas rachmana alayu? If it didn't have to get killed, what's the chas? They don't really explain. They just knock off the Tzar Bal Chaim, and they don't really explain. So what is it?
The existence.
Sorry. So then everything. Why punct an animal? Why not more than a tree? Why not more than a tree? Then others want. Then a lot of people hold. Yeah, but that's to show there's no color, they have no sensitivity, they're not a living thing. But still, I mean, if chas, so the degrees of chas, I guess maybe for some reason or another, there's more chas on an animal. Like Rebbe should have had Rachmanis on that goat over there. Maybe. Others say that there's no tzar balachayim when you're doing it for a purpose. So it can't be the tzar balachayim because you're doing it for a purpose. Because you have to get rid of the colon or the takala. Takala, some say takala means not that the animal brought takala to this person, that just like that the animal brought takala to this person might bring a takala to another person, or to this guy a second time, or to another person. So takala is not just about the past, it's about the future as well. Anyway, right to the Gemara, Rabbi says, it's not clear if Rabbi agrees with the or not. Rabbi says, Amra Toida Behema Nandis Ma Veda. You know why a behemoth by the V gets killed and not by a Veda Zora? It's because behemoth in the V, behemoth is involved in the Aveda. Tahari, but shaking in the Avodah Zarah, the behemoth is not involved at all. But what is it? It has nothing from it. You're doing things away from behemoth, so therefore the behemoth doesn't get killed. Nu so then how come you knock the tree down? They ain't nanny my bait of Amrata Haskasar of Kalei. The Balachayim come in the Chosach. Same thing like a Baya, only by Balachayim you need more reason, more grounds to destroy. It's kill. It says in the Mishnah, another pshat is we don't want the animal walking down the street. People say, it's a shanda. No shame. This animal caused that person to be killed. My love, mid the sefer takala v'kala. The sefer is talking about two things. This animal caused that person to be killed, so there was a takala plus kala. It's a shameful thing. Is it Aish? So what's the first shot in the Mishnah? If the sefer, the second shot in the Mishnah is you have two things. So what's the first shot in the Mishnah where it says that takala must be takala but like kala? The first shot in the Mishnah is that one is enough. In addition, there's two things there, but one is enough. So just like takala alone is enough, kala alone is enough as well. We'll see in a minute. Where do you have a case of takala without colon? For goy has bestiality with a behemoth. There's a takala there, even though there's no shame, because that's normal for them. So no raya. Sefer takala the colon. Reisha, the reisha is not talking about goy. The reisha is talking about colon without takala. If there's shameful, but it's not takala, you kill the animal as well. How's that possible? Reisha kamash, I feel the colon, but takala not milchayv. It's not talking about a goy, because a goy, there is takala with no colon. So where is there a case where there's shame, but there's no stumbling block? If the Yisrael came on an animal b'shegig, not realizing that's usher or whatever it is, and then we had also if a person falls from a roof and lands, but that's shegig karolainis. Then we said it's impossible. Then why is he erect? So therefore, it's like a little bit more like a so it's like a shegig. Anyway, so if you have a case of a shegig with the soul of shegig, so there's no takala, there's no intention here, but still shameful, and you kill the animal. But not talking about a goy. We don't know takala on its own. The Mishnah uses the word takala, so Rashi says takala means takala's calling. The word takala doesn't mean stumbling block for Aveda. Takala means a stumbling block of shame. Okay, but I'm going to ask a question. Right, I'm going to Yisrael about the what do you do by Yisrael? Bestial b'shegig. Takala b'kolim. You need both. You only have colon. I do a colon. Or maybe colon, even though without the colon is enough. I'm going to have Yetzer Toshma coming here. A bas sholas shonavim. A girl who's 3 years old and older is miskadeshes b'bia. The says she's already shaykh to bia. If a yavam kana, she becomes kaina. She's now according to many ma'atayda, because the yavam continues what his brother did, and his brother was married to her because the father married her off. So those ma'atayda, they were married. So therefore he continues. The chayavan aleh meshum eshazis, that if the father was mekabel kedushin and you had relations, now it becomes a full eshazish. But less than 3 years old, even though she's engaged, but she's not really full eshazish. We're talking about a regular case. Oh, yeah, true, yeah. Now, if someone touches the nida, you become a step lower. But if a husband and a nida have beer, then he becomes tummy for 7 days. If he's on the top mattress, the bottom mattress becomes equally tummy. Has all the dinim of a boil nida. In this case, also somebody she's a nida, even under 3. But if it's not called beer. So if a beer with her under 3, then he's like touching someone's tummy, only tumas edit. But if it's over 3, it's mamish a beer, like, tumas nida, umetamas boil tamish kutakum kelyan, nisas the coin, she's married to a coin, or chelas betruma, only if it's over 3, because then it's like beer baller, echab min hapsulim. And if she has then relations over 3 years old with someone that's possible like a goy or a mamzer, poslim and akuna, passes from kuna. And if one of the arroyas, if she's over 3, it's called bia. Under 3 is not called bia, they get killed. The heap tutor, but she's potter. If you say all arayis, I feel behema. Now here we'll learn very interesting thing. Even a behema is included. Now, and we're going to kill the behema. There's no shame here. She's only 3 years old. What's a shame here? The kala nika. There's kala and takala leka. There's no takala whatsoever. Why is not takala? She doesn't get punished. Uktani, we learn plus faces shit in that testing service is that a pita tana is considered an einus. A child has no idea what they're doing. It's considered like an einus. There's no shame on her part. Uktani mums na yada, and we say that we're going to kill the animal. So we answer. Now this is very important. This line here. Kivan de mazida, since she's involved deliberately. Takala namiika. She did it aveda. Rachmana de chasale. She doesn't get punished because the Torah rachmana is. Allah di dachas abehema loichas. In this case, we have rachmanas on her, not abehema. In other words, when we say a cotton or tana is under bar mitzvah, is lab baranchen. What's pshat? So they didn't do an aveda, or pshat they did an aveda. But we cannot. The Torah says they're not responsible for that aveda, but a ma'is aveda happened. From this Gemara clearly here we see, Gemara clearly says that the ma'is aveda. The Ramah Shulchan Aruch Chasim Mishim Gimel the end says an interesting halacha. It's the very last sif in Hilchos Shabbos before you get to Eruvin and all that carrying. The Ramah says that a child who hit his father or mother when he was a kid doesn't get punished, doesn't need to do tshuva, but yet it's a good idea when he becomes bar mitzvah, bas mitzvah to do tshuva. And the Magen Avraham says that the basis is this Gemara right here. Also, we had Rav Ashi burnt somebody's shtaris, and Rav forced him to pay up when he became rich. Rav Ashi says how could Rav Ashi have done it? Rav Ashi was a kid when he did it, and the Rav still forced him when he was older to pay up. Forcing sounds more than just. So there must be lifnim mishazadin. That's how the Magen Avraham learns pshat over there. But from this Gemara, it comes out stronger than that. It doesn't say the way that Amos says toiv loy, good idea. It sounds much stronger than that. And I think if I remember correctly, Neiv Yehuda that talks about that a person has to do tshuva when you're old on your kippur for that day they should chatzas nurim more than just.
A lot of animals don't say
100%. It's a mayor. Yeah, but the land over there. Protected. Yeah, you're right. You are right. No, but that whole thing here with the plant that what was the plant? Yeah, exactly. It was covering over whatever some. Exactly. Very good. Anyway, from there we learn out that chatas nu'udim is an Indian. This is the basis. But how strong is machlekes? Toshma coming here, but another raya. So we wanted to say that there is takol and kolon. We have no raya kolon on its own. Toshma coming here. The 9-year-old had that had relations with a 9-year-old. A 9-year-old boy, by girl is 3 years old. By boy is 9 years old. He's shaykh to be. How about you? Then is that what that he was kind of his sister-in-law, the Einu noise gets Yaakov, but he cannot give a get until he becomes a mitzvah, even though they're married according to Rashi Matayda, others in the Rabban, but he cannot give a get until he is bar mitzvah. Why is it considered kadam? In other words, machlekes is kadam the Rabbanim Matayda. Rashi seems to be learning another shayim. Some of the shayim learn that it's mahatayda because it's not creating a new kedushin. We learned before cotton can't give kedushin, even though we learned with 3 shittas barzilai, and we learned and the Chananel. Then we have Parsha Pshat that he can't. We don't meet so why should it be different? So some learn the same thing as under Rabbanan. Others learn no. A yavam is different than a marriage. A marriage, 2 strangers coming together. You make a new kinyan. You cannot do Yom Mitzvah. Here, she's already married. How do we view the Yavam? Is the Yavam now that Taylor says marry this woman, or the Yavam is stepping in the shoes of his brother, he's just continuing where his brother started? And if you learn his continuing where his brother started, since his brother was Mahatayda, and we say that a 9-year-old already is Shaykh if a beer, then it's a continuation. Then it's Mahatayda, not just Midrabban. And therefore he's metami like a nida. Again, not like if his boil a woman is a nida, it's not like just touching a nida. He's like a boil nida, and he's 7 days and all that. The tummy mishkataka, and this we're going all the mattresses at the bottom is tummy just the top. Poisel the enu Michael, if let's say he's a Yisrael and she was a bas kohen, she can no longer eat truma, and the enu Michael. On the other hand, if he's a kohen and she is a bas Yisrael. He cannot give a coin. Why? Because he's a cotton. He is a cotton that even though like he's engaged, but he's not yet really. There's no. He can't have. He didn't have B yet. He's not married yet. From a normal case, not a. Yeah. The behemoth is no longer possibly in his bech if you had bestiality. Now, why'd you kill the behemoth? We're talking about there's no two aidim, there's only one aid, and there's no warning and so on. When the war aidim, you'll kill the animal. And I remember nothing happens to him. Nothing happens to him, but the animal will get killed. Get killed. There's shame, but there's no punishment here, there's no takala here. And right now we understood, the Max understood, there's no Aveda. There's no Aveda. But yet the whole act is so depraved that it's a shameful act, so we'll kill the animals. We see that shame alone is enough. So therefore, if a person, the original question he asked, Rabbi Nuna asked, if a Yisrael does b'shegig, there's no takala, but a color there is. Uktani in his the even the mazid he takala. We ask again, because the mazid takala namika. There is an Aveda here. Only thing is, it's hard to understand it because when a person does an Aveda b'shegig, definitely an Aveda was done. It's not like an oinus with no Aveda. Aveda was done, but we're not going to hold you responsible. So the cotton is no different than an adult with a shegig. If you're telling me now that a cotton is an Aveda happened, just that he won't get punished, the same with shegig. A shegig and Aveda happened, just you won't get punished because of a shegig. So maybe that's the raya of the Ramah that it's the Aveda by a cotton is less than adult by a shegig. It's not that he has to do tshuva, that or mamash Aveda happens. It's a much lesser degree than by a shegig. So therefore we say over here there's colon, and the takala is shvachamaises because the Aveda is so and the shegig might be very different anyway. A shaggy might be stricter.
The shaggy has to bring a carbon.
Exactly. Exactly. So what was the mother thinking of? Okay. So the mother saying it, but the mother then is answering is that a kid also has a takala, which means nachma faket. It sounds like that the Aveda by a child, more like the Yehuda says, is equal to an adult shagig. Because if a child is less than adult shagig, so we can say, well, over here we don't, so it's still have a good raya then. There's colon. There's not really much of an Aveda. So and yet we kill the animal. So the chayda we're comparing a child Aveda to an adult, a shegig, which means it's more than just it's a good idea. It's like you should be more careful in order to do tshuva. Tashma, the Mishnah says, "Double actually take him. If an animal going to the street, we game of Zushin complain on the other. This animal caused this person to be killed. My love, with the sefer takol of the colon, reisha colon, below the color. The reisha talking about colon without the color. We don't want to think we're talking about a goy. We're talking about a yid. Only a single thing. Either the reisha uses the word takol. It doesn't mean takol. It means takol is color. That's a shameful animal. Constantly reminds us of the shame. The hekadam Yisrael about being b'shegig. We're like no. Maybe he's talking about a guy. Say for takol of the colon. Reisha takol of the colon. Takol is much worse than just shame. A takol is enough reason to kill the animal because maybe a little future there'll be more people do Avedis. But colon on its own, maybe you're not going to kill the animal. Okay, it's shameful, but for that you kill the animal, take that as achmanis. We have an example of takol without colon. Maybe the Mishnah is talking about a guy, bestiality with an animal. We're going to kill the animal. Like the original question of sheshes. Okay, we continue tomorrow in Mitzvah.